10 Most Disturbing True Alaskan Endless Night Horror Stories. Untold Fears. Intro. Alaska, a place of rugged wilderness, freezing winds, and breathtaking beauty. But during the endless night, the long polar winters where the sun disappears for weeks, the landscape transforms into something far more terrifying. Darkness cloaks everything, the cold seeps deep into bone, and strange things move unseen. Tonight, we dive into the 10 most disturbing true horror stories from Alaska's endless night. These are not legends, they are real encounters with the unknown. Make sure you keep the lights on. Story 1. The Thing on the Pipeline. A worker stationed along the Trans-Alaska Pipeline described the bitter cold, the silence, and the pitch-black isolation. One night, while inspecting a section near Prudhoe Bay, his flashlight beam caught something crouched on the snow. At first, he thought it was a wolf. But when it stood, nearly 7 feet tall, with long arms and no visible face, he realized this was no animal. The creature followed him, silently, all the way back to camp. Even when he reached safety, he swore he could still see its outline just beyond the perimeter lights, watching. Story 2. The Cabin in Utqiagvik. In Utqiagvik, the northernmost town in America, the sun disappears for over 65 days. A woman living alone in a hunting cabin reported hearing scratching at her door every night. She assumed it was a fox or stray dog, until one evening, she peeked through a crack in the wood. A pale, human-like hand with claws was dragging across the doorframe. The police later found the door shredded, but no footprints in the snow, nothing but endless darkness stretching in all directions. Story 3. The Vanishing Snowmobiler. Two brothers rode their snowmobiles across the tundra during the polar night, heading for their uncle's village. Midway through the trip, one vanished. The other stopped, circling back, calling his name. He saw tracks in the snow suddenly end, no struggle, no drop-off, no blood. Just gone. Locals whispered about the Kalupalik, a creature from Inuit legend that drags the unwary beneath the ice. The brother never came home. Story 4. The Abandoned Camp. Search and rescue found a hunting camp completely deserted. Coffee still warm, lanterns burning, rifles stacked neatly against the wall. But not a single person. The ground outside showed trails leading into the forest, but the trails didn't stop. They spiraled, dozens of overlapping paths leading deeper into the black woods, as though the hunters had been compelled to walk in circles until they vanished. Story 5. The Howl over Kotzebue Sound. A fisherman staying overnight near Kotzebue Sound described hearing a howl so loud it shook the ice beneath him. Not a wolf, not a bear, something else. Every few minutes, it came closer. He locked himself inside his shack. By morning, when the sun barely skimmed the horizon, he found massive claw marks, 3 times the size of a bear's, gouged into the door. Story 6. The Man Who Knocked. Villagers often warn, during the endless night, do not answer strange knocks. One family learned why. 3 sharp knocks rattled their cabin door. The father opened it, expecting a neighbor. Instead, he found nothing but darkness. He shut the door quickly, but inside the snow-covered floor, they found wet footprints. Human, bear, leading from the door toward the children's bedroom. Story 7. The Shadow on the Ice Road. Truckers hauling supplies across frozen rivers often report hallucinations in the dark. But one driver swears what he saw was real. A shadowy figure walked in the middle of the ice road, waving him down. He slowed, thinking it was a stranded traveler. When he shined his headlights, the figure dissolved into mist. He drove forward, and found a massive hole in the ice, right where the figure had been standing. If he hadn't slowed down, he would have plunged straight into the frozen river. Story 8. The Eyes in the Mine. An abandoned gold mine outside Nome has long been avoided. Explorers who enter describe glowing eyes watching from the tunnels. One group of young men dared each other to camp inside. In the night, they heard footsteps, heavy breathing, and rocks being thrown. In the morning, only one of them emerged. He refused to speak for years, until finally, he whispered, it wasn't alone down there. There were dozens of them. Story 9. The Last Transmission. A bush pilot flying supplies to a remote village disappeared without a trace. But the control tower recorded his final words. Greater than, something is pacing me on the wing. It looks like a man, but it's crawling along the wing in the dark. The plane never arrived. Wreckage was found years later, but no body. No answers. Story 10. The Whispers at the Edge of Town. In a small Alaskan village, elders warn never to follow the voices that call from the tundra during the endless night. A teenage boy ignored the warnings. He told his friends he heard his mother's voice calling from the ice fields. He followed it, lantern in hand. They watched him walk farther and farther out, until he vanished into the night. His mother had been asleep at home the entire time. He was never seen again. Outro. These stories, from miners, hunters, truckers, and villagers, all share the same terrifying truth: Alaska's endless night hides more than darkness. Something ancient stirs in that frozen wilderness, and once you hear it calling, you may never come back. So the question is, would you dare to spend a night in Alaska's endless dark?